Hi, it's Carla from Bound to Be Vintage. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're a first timer. I just returned from another trip to Pennsylvania, so that means we're back to our regularly scheduled programming, and today is hashtag Thrifty Thursday and hashtag Thrifted Treasures. Those hashtags are open collaborations that anyone can join in with their video of what they found for a good price and how they're going to use it in their creative projects. So search for those hashtags to find other people like me, and also go visit the host channels so you can see how to participate and see what they're up to. Dale hosts Thrifted Treasures, and she's at Not Too Shabby Chic, and Sheree at Turquoise Dreaming hosts Thrifty Thursday. I will link their channels below so you can check them out, and I do urge you to search with the hashtags. So, as I mentioned, I got back from another trip to Pennsylvania. A couple of videos ago, I did a road edition, if you'd like to see that first trip. This trip, I didn't really find as much. I went to a different antique mall. It's in a little more trendy, touristy area. So the prices were pretty high. And I don't in any way have a problem with antique dealers' prices. I sold in an antique booth for a while a few years ago, and I know how much work it takes to find the items, get them ready, and the amount of money that you have to pay for a booth. It's just in my retirement income years here, I prefer thrifted prices for my budget. And if something's really unique, I'll pay the price, but if I think I can find it, if it's a fairly ordinary item, I prefer to just wait and thrift it myself. So I did pick up a couple of items that I thought they had priced well. So the first one is this letter. It's got a lot of patina. It's from the Arlington Hotel in Binghamton, New York, to Mrs. John Brunyels. I have a hard time reading that. It's got the cool airmail cancellation mark and an old stamp. It is from 1929. And what I loved about this is the information about the hotel itself. It has a restaurant and art gallery deluxe with 150 oil paintings, tea room, candy shop, and lunchroom. It's 390 rooms, 300 baths, absolutely fireproof. So I thought that was fun. And there's more information on the letter with the matching stationery. It's the European plan, and it mentions all those features again. And the letter itself is kind of interesting. I'll read it to you because it's short. Dear Johnny, sorry I did not see you today, but you had just gone when we came home. I was also disappointed to hear that you are going to join the army, and I think you should stay with, it looks like Franny. Now about the dogs and chickens. I wished you would sell the chickens if you can. I have to work Thursday, but when I get through at 6 o'clock, if everything is all right, I will be up. So until then, I will say goodbye. Love to you and Franny. So interesting. Don't join the army and sell the chickens. That was the advice. I don't usually find letters, and this was just $1.50, so I thought I would pick that up for a future journal. Okay, cue the music. Oops, I did it again. I bought some more buttons. If you watched my channel, you'll know I seem to have an obsession with them. The whole bag was $3.50, and it was a clear baggie, so I could see a lot that was in there. And there were so many old, interesting bits and bobs that I wanted to pick it up. I'll show you the buttons up a little closer. There were not a lot of mother of pearl in this. I thought this one was very interesting with the very large holes. I could see pulling some ribbon through that. This clear one is quite nice, shaped like a rose. This one is maybe a mother of pearl. It was just very interesting with the little circles around it. It almost looked like a phone dial. There were some really nice soft pinks and some soft baby blues. and just a lot of metal buttons that you can see there in the middle. This wood button was kind of interesting. It almost looks like an 8. So they're a good variety here. I haven't yet washed them up. I usually try to do that before I show them, but I wanted to get this video done. And just getting back, there's kind of a lot going on. So those are those buttons. And then as far as the interesting bits went, there were quite a few rhinestone items. They have some issues. They're going to need to be, probably have the rhinestones replaced. But they were just interesting pieces. This one I think is some kind of buckle, but it's a pretty flower shape. This one probably had a stone in the middle. There was also this little applique that had a rhinestone in the middle. This appears to be like maybe a cufflink. This button I thought was very pretty. Let me see if I can get that better for you. Oops. There we go. With the blue star in the middle. And like I said, I haven't washed or polished these. There were a number of these jingle bells. And this one I think may be for a child's shoe to keep them from unlacing it, but I'm not sure. If you do know, leave me a comment. There were some things that appear to be more like jewelry findings. This little gold piece, actually, if you push in the sides, this gold item comes out. There's this pretty little ruby piece in this metal circle. Looks like a link. This, I have no idea what it is. It doesn't seem to want to come apart. It's got a lot of verdigris on it. Again, I haven't tried to wash or polish anything, so we'll see how those turn out. Got some of these toggle buttons. I guess that's a toggle button. It's so tiny, I don't know. Just some odd little wood pieces. And then I really like this button with the P on it for Pennsylvania. It doesn't have any writing that would indicate it was any kind of a uniform button, but I really like that, the P, since I got it in Pennsylvania. So that was my haul of buttons, and I will move this aside so we can look at some other things. Those are the only 2 things I got in Pennsylvania, and I did check out Ollie's book section and really didn't find anything there either. The thrifting at thrift stores has not been great lately, but I did find this cone of yarn. It's a very fun textured fiber. I like that it's a cone. I've just sort of decorated a little bit with a button and a big old stick pin, and it just kind of sits on my desk for the time being. I'm working on a fall seamstress journal, which I'll show you more about in a minute, and I thought this fiber would be really good for embellishing tags and things like that. So that was just $2 at my Vinnie's, which I thought was a great deal for a big cone like this. The other thing I picked up at Vinnie's, and this was recent, was this book on Lindsay or Lynchy, I'm not sure how you say that, Lindsay dolls. I was not familiar with them. Apparently they were a thing in the 20s and the 30s. This is by Helen Nolan, and I believe this is a Dover publication. Yeah, it was a Dover publication. Some of the photographs in this are Really interesting. Some of them are a little on the creepier side, but there's a real softness to them, like they had a filter on the lens or something. And some of them have kind of a fairy tale quality that I thought might work in the right kind of a journal. And they have the dolls separated into categories. The googlies apparently were these wide-eyed dolls that look like they've been startled. Not such a fan of that. Then these are called the Luscious Ladies. This I thought was a nice photograph, and this one as well. I could see them making a journaling card or being part of a page in the right kind of journal. These dolls kind of have a Marie Antoinette feel. Then there were the Good Sports. I think there's some very pretty ones on this page. I especially like this one and this one. This one as well with the marionettes. Just pretty. You can see how kind of soft it is. Like I said, it looks like a filter. So I did pick that up. It just was different. So I thought I'd have that for the future. So we did have a flea market before I left for the trip. It's a great flea market at the Iowa State Fairgrounds. I just love it. The people there are so friendly and the prices are really reasonable. We went on the second day this year because my daughter wasn't available the first day. She was out of town. So we went the second day and they were ready to deal. So they were just offering deals and bundles left and right. So I'll try to tell you what I paid if I remember. The first thing was a gentleman who won't be there anymore, unfortunately. They are retiring and moving. So his booth is always one of my favorites in the 2 times I've been there. But he had this box, which is pyrography, where the design is made by burning into the wood. I have a collection of these. At some point in the future, I hope to show you. I want to do a craft room tour. My craft room also holds all my collections, and I've been collecting vintage items for probably 30 or 40 years. And before I knew how to use those items, was what I was trying to say, for vintage creations like a junk journal, I collected bits of paper and lace and all kinds of things. And this is one of my collections. The box itself is in rough shape. It is missing the part of the bottom. But the way I display them is standing up, so you'll never see that. And I just thought she was very pretty, Gibson Girl style, and nice flowers. So he had 7 on it, which I was not going to pay with the condition it was in, but he wound up making me a $5 bundle with some other things, so it was great. So this will go on my collection, and like I said, keep tuning in. I'm going to have a craft room tour in the not too different future. So in that bundle, I also got some type, letterpress type. If you've seen my shorts, or if you follow me on Instagram, and I'll put my Instagram name down below in the description box in case you want to check that out, you would know that I recently built a press. It's what's called like a proofing press, and it's basically a wood box frame, and there's a heavy cylinder that you pull across the type so it makes an impression on the paper. The type is inked, and then it actually presses into the paper and makes an impression. I am collecting type to use on that press, and I've ordered some other colors of ink so I can pull some more interesting prints. And again, I plan a future video on what I'm doing with the letterpress. But I was able, as part of the bundle, to pick up a few items. I think these gentlemen are surveyors. It's probably not going to be easy for you to see on camera, but there are a couple of just little flourishes, a couple of the words "the," very old-fashioned looking. They're going to be backwards because it's letterpress type. and then this little torch. So I'm going to add these to my collection, and I will be pulling some prints to show you. And I plan to use the type, the impressions I make in future junk journals. And then last in that little bundle with the wood box and the letterpress type, I got a little baggie of stamps. And I'll just hold this up so you can see. I put some of my favorites on the top. There's a 1966 Christmas stamp, a couple of pretty floral stamps from another country. And then my favorite is that blue Queen Elizabeth stamp with the flowers. So a nice little assortment of vintage stamps. Okay, there was a vendor there who had some linens, so I did get a few. This I thought was just very pretty fabric that someone has made a napkin out of and fringed. I like red and white. Seems like very French when it's red and white. So I thought this could be good in a journal as a fabric flap, maybe a pocket, something like that. So I picked that up, and I think all of her linens were $1. I picked up these two, which I think are probably collars. They're kind of different than anything I have. And I thought maybe with the shape that they are, they could be turned into a pocket. That kind of triangular shape. They need to be washed. I picked up this little doily. It was just so intricate. And it's a small size that I thought would work well in a journal. And another thing I can't seem to resist is lace collars. I almost need to just frame all of them and hang them on the wall. I've got so many now. I can't seem to bear to cut them up. But it's a pretty one. It's large. I like the kind of beige color. So that was what I got from the linen lady. And then I was happy to get these two vintage patterns of little girls, and you'll notice they have white gloves on. And the reason I was so interested in those is this book that I got a few years ago. I thrifted this when I lived at the lake, and it's called White Gloves and Party Manners. And I want to make a journal out of this. And you see the little girl has on the white gloves. This is from 1966. And there are some cute illustrations in it. So I wanted to find some vintage girls with white gloves. So this lady had her vintage patterns 2 for $1. So I picked up these two. And then I previously had these two that would be like pajama party. So I'm starting to build a little collection for this journal. I think I'll still be gathering for a while before I get started on it. But I was happy to actually find some patterns where the girls had the white gloves on. Another lady that I talked to actually said she was interested in junk journaling, and she had just a ton of paper. The flea market's back in November, and I'm excited to go back and look in her booth again, because it was just amazing how much stuff she had that would be great for junk journaling. So I picked up this little needle book. I love the graphics on the front. It was apparently from Derby, whatever that was. Some kind of store, I would imagine. Still has the needles and this great little needle case inside. And I really like the brown coloring because I'm working on an autumn seamstress journal, and this will be perfect for that. I realized I needed to gather some more ephemera and things for it, so I was really excited to see this. She also had this Pellon sewing guide. I love the little interactive turn wheel, and the fact that it was orange is also great for that journal. And I'll show you what I have going on with that. Here's one of the signatures. And this is one of the pages. And here's another page. And you can see that I've used that brown fiber I showed you already. So there's a lot of browns and oranges in this. So I think that these will be perfect additions for it. I also picked up this little Feathered Friends drawing book. All of her paper in the big box was $1. And there are just a ton of really cute little drawings in here of animals, and this Batavia coffee apparently is the sponsor of this. And there are just these little sheets of paper after the sketches, and they are great patina, and they're very, very sheer. They're almost like a tracing paper. And all the little pages have come loose, so I won't feel bad about using them. And I don't think I saw a date on this, but it seems to be pretty old. So that's the Feathered Friends drawing book. She also had this fabulous receipt book. Love the cover. Standard notes, number N775. And there are just these green receipts in here. And there's one stub, two stubs, I guess. And they are dated from May of 1929 to May of 1930. That someone apparently was making payments. So I think these will be great to include in junk journals. Oh, just a nice shade of green. Oops. Put that up here. And this itself is wonderful. I need to figure out a way to use that when all the receipts are gone. Then let's take a break from paper. I got these Anna Griffin die cuts of border edging. And the booklet that goes with it is on the back. This lady had an entire huge thick notebook of these all in these sleeves, all Anna Griffin, and it was $3 a sleeve. So I thought that was a great price for Anna Griffin. I really liked all these little edges. Thought I could make great decorative borders for Valentine journals. In gold, they'd be great for Christmas, like Dresden work. And next time, if she's still there, I want to look through it. I should have picked up more, but gosh, it was overwhelming. All that Anna Griffin stuff is so lacy, and I just kind of got overwhelmed and just picked some edging. But I think I might want to pick up a few more if she's there again. Then there was another older gentleman there who always has great paper. I just picked up these envelopes. They are not old, but the collaging has already started on them. So I thought they'd be fun to work with and do further collaging and have them like in a journal. And he was kind of doing bundles. I think for these last things you'll see, I think I paid $5 for the bundle. So those aren't vintage, but they have a vintage look. Had this beautiful fairy. A lot of staining there. It was mounted. It looks like the glue seeped through. But that's okay. You know, when we do our grungy junk journals, the work's already done for us, right? No need for distress ink. She's called Goldenrod. And I'm always attracted to the flower fairies. that are the real vintage ones, not the childish ones, but more the ones with women, as opposed to the little flower fairy children. So I got that. Love this little palette with the woman. She looks like Columbia. If you followed me, you know I did a patriotic kind of 4th of July journal. There's a flip through of that on my channel. And she would work perfectly as ephemera for that journal. And this was for Baltimore oysters. And that is an old piece. It's stamped on the back, Eureka Restaurant, headquarters for Baltimore oysters. I picked up this little corn products book. Everything was $1 or less with this gentleman, so I did not pay $5. I need to heat that sticker and see if I can get it off without ripping. But it's a fun little book. Has some illustrations in it that are really nice, as well as the recipes. There are some black and white ones like this, and then really pretty pictures of food. Let me see if I can find one of the more colorful ones to show you. Desserts look so good in this section. Love this page. So, for $1 or less, I thought that would be a great little piece of ephemera to have. And then last from him, I got this big piece of sheet music with the mermaid. It was sponsored by the Dr. Harder Medicine Company. And there's a great ad on the back for these wild cherry bitters. I love that bottle. That would be cool to include in a collage too. And then the inside, like I said, is sheet music. I have plenty of sheet music. I'll be using the cover. The cover I will probably scan and scale down so it would work in a journal. The interesting thing is I don't think these leaves are part of the original design. They don't really make sense with a mermaid, but it looks like someone may have sketched those on in pencil. So that was kind of interesting. So those are my finds from the flea market, Pennsylvania, and my local vintage thrift stores. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you'll join me. Please subscribe. The channel's growing, and I just love that. I'm getting to talk back and forth with some very interesting people who love the same things I do and who are crafting, maybe new to crafting. So give me a like if you enjoyed this, a comment. All those things help my channel grow, and I'll see you soon with some more videos. Bye.